This is Dave. Dave provides a product that gives relief and pleasure. It's called illegal drugs. Dave's a bit unpopular with the authorities. In fact, they have declared him the ultimate form of adversity: war. This is Rick. Rick also provides a product that gives relief and pleasure. It's called prescription drugs. We call him a pharmacist. Now we support Rick's product. It's promoted and protected for a great cause, making us all healthy. Joining this industry as a creator, supplier or retailer will make you sleep in these houses among fellow respected citizens. One substance industry at war with them. Other substance industry loves them. So these two industries must be totally different, right? Meet Paxil, an antidepressant released on the market in the late 90s by pharmaceutical giant GlaxoSmithKline. Millions of sad people got this drugs prescribed, many teens and children. The product turned out to be a goldmine for GlaxoSmithKline and sales were sky high. People helped, company happy. Well, not really. GlaxoSmithKline knew one little secret about this magic pill. It didn't work on teens and children. GlaxoSmithKline sat on these tests for years. A leaked GSK memo states it would be commercially unacceptable to include a statement that efficiency had not been demonstrated.
Martin Keller, former chair of the psychiatry department at Brown University, lead author of the so-called Paxil 329 study. This clinical trial, which tested hundreds of children on the antidepressant Paxil, found that the drug was generally well tolerated and effective, which in scientific terms is glowing praise. And the study's list of co-authors, 22 of the most prominent key opinion leaders in psychiatry.
I mean, that was a lot of people, but they were the who's who of psychiatry. And this was going to be a publication that I think, took them, into the end zone on getting their approval for kids.
With the FDA's blessing, Paxil became a blockbuster in the child and adolescent market, with sales of $55 million in 2002. It wasn't until the New York State Attorney General's office sued in 2004 that the truth finally came out. The raw data showed that not only was Paxil no more effective than placebo, but the young patients on Paxil were 6 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts. In fact, this data also revealed that 11 of the 93 children on the study developed serious side effects, of whom 7 had to be hospitalized. But according to Keller's own administrator, many of those children were either dropped from the study or coded as non-compliant to avoid having to be counted.
They were fined a record $3 billion for supplying and specifically targeting young children. But what's that worth when sales of the drug have now reached over 12 billion and counting? So Dave the drugs dealer is an evil guy. But what does Pharma want? They use a lot of ads, spend billions on marketing, claiming they can help you feel better. Their sleeping pills, their antidepressants and painkillers are in no way addictive, they say. They just help you when you need them. But millions of people experience a different thing. They struggle with side effects or tapering off. Not weird, because this is the part of the brain cocaine stimulates. This is the part of the brain an HDD drug works on. Lifelong use is no exception anymore. Effect of prescription drugs diminishes over time. Addiction is what's left, and more. Depressed people are more than 6 times likely to become suicidal while actually taking antidepressants. Prescription painkillers kill more Americans than heroin and cocaine combined. Every day, 44 Americans die of overdoses of prescription drugs. That's over 16,000 deaths per year. Besides pharmaceutical drugs doing massive self-harm to users, they can do something else. Hurt other innocent people. When users get aggressive. And pharma? Our health companies just profit and profit. Is this okay? Why do we call this healthcare and not legal drugs business? Now our generation is the most connected, freest, but also the most crazy generation ever to walk on Earth. We are completely bazooky. This are all psychiatric diseases in 1952. This in 1980. And this today. More mental disorders than ever. You sad over a loss and you grieve for more than 2 weeks? And you think that's just plain old grief? No. According to DSM-5, the psychiatric Bible, that's major depressive disorder. You need this pill. Been eating a bit much? Well, that's not because there's great tasting food around, no. You surely have binge eating disorder. You need this pill. Normal human conditions are being pharmatized, fast and furious. Over 17 million Americans are now on mind-altering prescribed drugs. Every year, 230 million prescriptions for antidepressants are filled by doctors. Now, how did this rise of mental illness happen? Diagnose is treatment, is pills, is profit. More diagnose, more profit. These people, the American Psychiatric Association, actually decide what is diagnosed as a mental illness. They write the Diagnostic Statistic Manual, you know, the ever-growing one. Of course, it's a coincidence and in no way related, 69% of them having ties to the pharmaceutical industry. And let's not forget, you know how many biological tests exist for criteria sets for DSM-5? 0. So we basically still barely know how mental disorders work, or even how the brain functions. Shouldn't that make us super cautious to give millions of us drugs that actually change your mind? At the promise of making us healthy, what we are becoming is a junkie society. Prescription junkies. Because look at the trend of illegal drugs in the last decade. Notice a difference? Now, it's made pretty hard for our doctors not to join this industry, because pharma sales teams heavily work on them with tickets to concerts, exotic holidays and money. Some doctors receive bonuses of over $100,000 and higher since 2009. Only Pfizer has already financial ties with over 150,000 doctors. They get to live better if you take Prozac. Now, as parents, we warn our kids, stay away from the bad guys on the street. Yet we seem to buy into pharma's way of raising a child. Does he or she make careless mistakes or has difficulty waiting its turn? Ooh, that might be attention deficit disorder. You should visit a medic. From that moment, clever marketing will make you feel that you are actually helping your child by giving it medicines. Like this cartoon by Pharmaceutical Shire, using superheroes on medication who have great focus. A new customer is created for a medicine like Adderall, a methamphetamine. Even the name is powerful marketing, as its creator and former school teacher, Griggs, envisioned. All for HDD. HDD for all. Adderall.
I know there are certainly people who use that. But when I was in college, they had the same thing.
They call it productivity in a pill. The misuse of prescription stimulants like Adderall among young adults is on the rise. 60% of respondents to a Partnership for Drug-Free Kids survey reported misusing the drug. They cited reasons like managing busy lifestyles that included studying and working, but also maintaining well-rounded social lives.
I think everybody's looking for an edge and looking for a way to be able to improve their grades, and they believe that by abusing these drugs that they may have some abilities to be able to study longer and study harder.
Students say you can purchase the drug from someone who has a prescription, and it'll typically run you about $10 to $15 a pill.
Addiction tends to be sneaky. It doesn't come in one fell swoop and happen to you overnight. It happens gradually with use and then misuse.
Drug-free advocacy groups say it's dangerous to take any prescription drug not intended for you, especially when mixed with alcohol, a practice commonly found in this age group.
There'll be a change in their body and brain chemistry that there will be a physical need will develop for that drug, and that will also happen with Adderall. It might not happen as quickly, but it will happen.
Filling the schools with medicated kids might be their ultimate fantasy. Around 15% of teenage boys are now diagnosed with HDD. To make it all worse, new study shows that HDD medicines like Adderall and Ritalin actually make you worse at learning on the long term. We get used to the doctor prescribing this, but in some countries you get arrested with these medicines. The Japanese, for instance, say no person shall import methamphetamine, amphetamine, including their pharmaceutical forms. Take Adderall into Japan and you go to jail. Japan doesn't see a difference between the product of Dave and the product of Rick. Are they very wrong here? Is there a difference? I guess we just pretend there is. Now we fight a continuous war to prevent people taking illegal mind-altering drugs for pleasure or sorrow. Yet we use society's most respected people to hand out legal mind-altering drugs. You're made to believe that these patent-based billion-dollar making pharma giants are interested in your health. But it's more and more becoming a lethal profit machine. The doctor as dealer, pharma as the supplier.